Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So let's finish up a few things here. So in this video what we want to deal with is creating new folders, and we want to see the drive space counter here as well. And also finally we have to load specific files for specific user. So like this one here, we see these files no matter who we log in as, which is a bit of a problem. Okay, so what we want to do is now change the query so that we only get the files for a specific user. So I'm going to go to my text editor here and let's deal with the api.php. And to do this is quite simple. Let's go to where we read files from. So here, upload files, for example, has a user ID section. So we need to get the actual user ID. And we can get that from the session user, and then we just put whatever column we want here. So I'm going to copy this and put it there. So I'm going to leave the 0 there just in case it doesn't exist for some reason. We can put that 0. So here I want the ID of the user. Simple as that. That's done. And then let's go to where we read the data. So user login, get files, this one right here, and we should include the user ID in there. So I'm gonna go here and I'm just gonna do user underscore ID, like that is equal to that, and then put 0 just in case it does not exist. And then here I'm gonna put ID like that, or instead of 0 maybe we can put null, just to make sure we don't read anything if the user ID does not exist. And then like from the query here we say selector from drive. Then we put a where clause over here. So we say where ID, user ID is equal to, let's use that user ID variable like so. So let's go to our database section here and check to see if there is indeed a user ID column, which is right there. Great. So I'm gonna grab this user ID is equal to user ID like so. So selector from where favorite is equal to 1. Let's put and user ID is equal to user ID. Same thing here. We're gonna put a where clause. User ID is equal to user ID. Same here where trash is equal to 1. Let's put and user ID is equal to user ID. Same thing here, my drive, where, like that. Okay, so with this, we should now have the correct files. So if I now refresh, you see no files were found, because when we added those files, we were not this particular user. Okay, so also we need to add a logout button here somewhere so we can click to log out. So I'm gonna how do we log out here? Let me come down here. So logging out should be simple. It should be as simple as erasing the session data from there. So all I need to do here is duplicate one of these. So I'm just gonna do this, duplicate here, and then do this, right? That way I have, user logout, like that. And all I need to do is do this. Oops, what do? I want that session data, this one right here. So we need to check if it is set. So I'm going to say if is set. If that item is set, then unset it like so. Okay, it's as simple as that. Then let's do maybe success is equal to true, like so. And that's it, really. That's how we log out. And now let's go to the index.html. Now on this side, I want us to send data for logout. So we're gonna put this in the, let's see, what object? Table, submenu, mode, no. Here we can create, I don't know, whichever object you want to put this in will be fine. Table.logout, let's try that, because there's this refresh part here. So I'm just going to duplicate the refresh function here. So let me go down here to the end of it, up to there, Control-Shift-D. Okay. Then here I'm just going to say logout, like so. We don't need a mode, and we don't need any of these things. All we are doing is just sending a form with a data type. That's really it. And the data type is going to be user logout. Let's do this, user logout, like so. And yeah, we don't even need to redirect the user afterwards. But let's do this. I'm gonna go window.location. Okay, let me grab these guys here and remove. Okay, login, let's remove that. We don't need an if statement here. We don't even need to know if excuse me, if it was successful here. Let me just move all of this out of the way like so. All right, great. Okay, so this is all we need. That's table.logout. So now I just want a link to that particular thing. Excuse me there. So I'm going to, where is this? Here it says hi, and there's a user over here. Now, if we manage to sign up, let me go here. I'm just gonna do this like that. Let me see how that looks. Okay, that's good enough actually. So what I'm gonna do is put this inside an A tag, put an href with a hash symbol so it doesn't go anywhere. Then we can do an on click and say table.logout, and then let's close that tag over here like this. Okay, so let's test that out. So I'm just gonna click logout, and I think that stopped anything from happening. So let me go to obj is undefined, right? Where is that? I think this is when the result comes in. So now if I refresh the page, what happens? It redirects me. So it did work to log me out. It's just that it failed to redirect me. So let's find the logout function. So it's talking about obj somewhere being unknown. So where did we use obj? Sorry, I just clicked something there. Right there. This is the line with a problem. So let me remove that. And let me remove that and that. Okay, that should do the trick. So let's log in as Mary this time, since it doesn't really matter anyway. So if I try to log out, it works. So let me log in as my main user here. Okay, there we go. So let's try and upload one file and see what happens. So first of all, let me empty the database. So I'm going to go to operations, the my drive database, and go to truncate and remove all of that. Let me of course delete all the files from the uploads folder as well. Okay, so let's try now and upload a file. So refresh the page and let's drag and drop a file. So I'm gonna go, let me just click here to upload. So we click and let's try any file at this moment. I'm gonna try an SQL file. Upload complete. There it is. Look at that. Let me upload another file. I'm gonna try a PSD file. There we go. So both of these are unknown. Let me click here. We can fix that. Let me put a movie this time. MKV file. How big is this? Quite large. There we go. There we go, there we go, there we go, there we go. Upload complete. So you see, this one shows unknown, but it's a movie file as well. So I'm going to show you how we can fix that. So let me go to where we have an MP4 file, which I know this is MP4. That one should show a video icon there. Great. So this one should show a video icon. So let's fix that for now. Let me try a text file as well. .txt. Where are we here? Let me look for a drive with text files somewhere. Okay, so I'll find icons that will suit. So I'm uploading to a new text document and a Word document. Okay, so there we go. So everything seems to be working fine except for the icons. So let's fix the icons a bit. Let's say for the movie and text document, right? So let's go favorites, no favorites, recent, trash, no trash. Okay, good. So we have this. Let's deal with the icons real quick. I'm going to go to here, the index.html. What I want is where we are creating the table. So this is the table. This is the one right here. Okay, so this deals with the star, this deals with the icon. So where's the icon coming from? From the API. So API, I think there's a function we created here. So let me go to functions.php. So icons right there. So what we're gonna do is duplicate this a few times. So it's important to look at the document type. So for this one, it's text plain, and then video MP4, and then this one is MKV. So let's copy this here. So I'm gonna put this one here, and this one video MP4. So over time you can add as many as you want here to recognize more and more files. Now these will be a bit difficult, the application, because a lot of these exist. So we're going to see how to deal with that. Okay, let's go to Right, this text plain, right? Okay. This one is complex. Let's duplicate and let's put that one there. Wow, quite long. Okay, so all I need now is icons to use here. So let me try video here, and this one as well. Let me try video. So you can check Bootstrap icons to see which icons will work. So those do not work. They do not work at all. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I want to cheat a little bit. Let me bring back the designer here, and what I want to do is add element, and I'm gonna add an icon. Any icon will do. I just want to change to the one I want so I can see its name. So let's do video like so. So the one I would want to use is so up to you here what you choose. Maybe this or maybe that. I don't really know. Or maybe this. This is really a toughie. Or maybe this one. Let me try this one. So what I'm going to do now is go preview. So I see this in a preview, and then I can inspect the element to see what the name of the icon. So this one is in particular is film. Okay, so that's fine. I want to change it to this other one. I want to see how it differs from this one. So I'm going to do preview. And let me see what they used here. This one is camera video. Right. Okay, that's all I needed this for, just to check. So let me change this to film, like that. And if I refresh, that's what I get. But video MP4 is unknown. That's because I changed it here as well. Okay, so let's do video MP4. Why isn't it? Okay, so there we go. Now the class names here can be different as well, so that they have different colors. So if we watch carefully here, there's a part in my HTML file that I hid. Where is this? This part right here. So this has classes for icons, like this is the download icon, but let's go to the main thing. So there's 39 here and 31. So 31, 39, and 40. Okay. So back to functions. 39, 31. Let's try here 31 for these. 30 and then 40 as well. So let me try this one with 40. That way we have different colors for our icons. So that would be for that. Why does this have a different one? Okay, because I put a different class. Oh, I forgot I needed more of these icons. So let me try that. You don't need to do this part here. Just the names. I'm just looking for the names of the icons. So you can just copy from what I'm doing. What about Word document? So we can use this one. Maybe this one here. And then let's add another icon. So that's the Word document. And then this is a VLC player. Let's see here. Text document and a PSD. So let's try PSD. There we go. And let's add another icon. I could have just duplicated. So there we go. We have PSD, we have SQL. SQL. Let me edit, duplicate. And finally, what else? Text document. Look at that. That's wild. Okay, so let's go to the preview section here. Now we can inspect to see what's going on. So let's start with the... All these are actually the same type, right? Which one is different? The Word document. So that one is a little different. So I'll start with this one. This one here, File, Earmark, Word. So copy that. Let's put this here. Great. So if I now come back here and refresh, it shows this is a Word document. Plain text will be TXT. So that's the file type TXT. Where is this? Plain text, this one here. Okay. Text document, awesome. What else? So now when it comes to the PSD and these, you see this is the same. So we need to figure out where the difference begins, because there are a lot actually. Even PDF has the same thing like this. So we need to check the file extension as well. So what I'm gonna do here is these icons, right? What we need to do here is create an array within an array. So this particular one should have an array in here. Okay, so I'm going to do this like so. And then I will push this down and down like that. Okay, so we have an array in an array. So if it's this one, then we should check for the file extension as well. So here I'm going to put file extension and put an arrow like so. So the file extensions will be, for example, PSD. Then we show what icon to add here. I'll put a comma, and then PDF, and then finally SQL. So while I have some of these here, let me do a check. Where are we? So the SQL, let's inspect. This one is file type SQL. What about PSD? File type PSD, so it's pretty much the same. Okay, so I'm gonna grab this part that I used for TXT, which is file type TXT, and replace all of these. And then PSD, PDF, SQL, like that. Awesomeness. Okay. And now, instead of having this icons just like this, right? Let me create a function instead. So PHP here, I'm gonna do function get icon. Now the reason is because things have become a little bit more complex, so we can't just use the array like this. So I'm going to remove this, go down here and close the function, then move everything over, and then we're going to say return icons, and then here we put whatever type was sent. So here I'm going to put type like so. Okay, so we return the type there. Now there will be times when a file extension is given as well. So actually we should put the file extension all the time, so that in case if it's this, then we will use the file extension. So I'm gonna do extension is equal to, for now it's gonna be empty, like so. Okay, great. Now what I'm gonna do is do this. If type, right, if the type is equal to this one here, application, like so, then this requires special treatment. Okay, and then we're going to return something very different. So here we will say my icon is equal to, and we say icons and then type, right? And then the result of this type, we're going to put extension, like that. Okay, cool. Actually then we can just return it like that, that's fine. Okay, so it will end up there instead of here, so that's great. So we need a way to just supply the file extension there and then. So let me go back to where we actually use this. Let me find icons. So icons, we were using it this way, but instead what I'm going to do is remove this. Now we are calling the actual function, or actually we called it get icon. And then we will put open and close brackets instead. And here we're going to do file type. Let's send the file type there, like that. And then of course we want to send the file extension as well. So how do we grab the file extension? I'm just going to call it ext there, like so. So let me grab the file extension. I'm going to do extension is equal to, and then I'm going to do explode like this. So I want to explode the let me do row. The delimiter is the full stop, so that I get the final part of the whole thing. So I'm going to do this like so, extension row, and in there I'm going to get the file name, the whole file name, like that. So extension is equal to file name. So what we are doing is we are creating an array from the explosion of this. So let me just call these parts, and then the extension will be in the final like so. Okay, then let's do string to lower, like that. Okay, so what we are doing here is this. We are exploding the file name, so using the full stop. So what this means is that if I go to my page here, there's this file name. So we're separating each dot. For example, here there's a dot and there's a dot there as well in the file name. Then it's going to separate this into separate sections, but the file extension itself will be in the last item. It's going to create an array and separated by each array item separated by a dot. So this will go in one memory location, this in another, the rest of this in another, but always the file extension is at the end of it. And then we'll use the end function, because this end function gets just the last item in an array. And then we change it to lowercase. So here, what we're gonna do is the extension will be that final thing. So it's gonna work out just fine, I think. So let's give it a shot. And obviously something went wrong. That's why we couldn't see anything. So in a situation like that, we have to see what the error is inside the console. So it just says json.parse error, right? That just simply means it couldn't parse the JSON, which means it wasn't valid JSON that it got. So all we need to do is check the refresh table, switch on the console.log line. That way we will log to the console any errors that came with it. So you see this error part here is what's making the JSON here invalid, because this is not valid JSON. So it says undefined array key file name. Okay, so that's the problem. Let's go to the structure. It's file underscore name. So that's my problem there. So not really a big deal. I'm gonna undo that. We don't need that anymore. I'll go to API here. So instead of file name like that, it's file underscore name. Okay, so back to this, refresh, and there we go. So at least you can see PSD, SQL, and everything works well. It's recognizing the file types, which is awesomeness. Okay, and then finally let's do adding folders, right? So which means now we should know what folder these files belong to. So in order for us to be able to know that, we have to alter the structure of the files, the same table that stores files. So let's add 2 more columns to this. I'm going to click 2 there and go. Now the first one is the folder ID, because we're not actually going to be creating actual folders on the computer. That would be insane, because there would be too many folders and stuff. So we're not going to be creating actual folders. Instead, we're going to create virtual folders, right? And the files will all be in one folder for each user at least. So folder ID there, and then also the share mode. So it's important to know what the access mode is, or the share mode is for each file. Can anyone just grab the file or not? So I'm gonna change this to tiny int. Folder ID will be int, just like that. And here I'll put length of 1. I don't need to specify here, it's 11 as the default. So default value should be 0. Same as here, 0, and then hit save. So 2 more columns. These are important. So let's add an index, because we will need these. Share mode, no, we don't need an index there, because we can read the share mode once we read the raw itself. So leave that intact. So folder ID there, great. If we browse, we will see zeros on folder ID, which means these do not belong to any folder. And then share mode of 0 can represent private. So only the owner has access to this file. Okay, so with that in mind, good. Let's go back here. And now to create folders, we're going to need a whole model thingy, like the way we have this right-click menu. We're going to need one that covers the whole page for us to add a folder name. But for now, what I want us to do instead is to see the drive space here. So I'm going to do this. Let's go back here. So with every read, we have to know the drive space. So let's just add one more here, info. Let's do space like that, or we do, what will you call it? Drive space. Okay, so let's start with 0, like so, or here we can put a function to do this for us. Okay, so I'm gonna create a function right here. Actually, let's do it here. I'm gonna say get drive space. Also, because we have a functions page, let's actually just remove this function altogether and put it properly in the functions page. So I'm gonna put this here. Good. And then get drive space. We need to know who we are getting the drive space from, the current user or not. So here I want the current user's ID, this one here. So I'll copy this whole thing. Actually, let me just copy this and put it here. Okay, and then ID. Now everything that uses session data, I don't want to have to put these like so. Though this is okay. Let me move this down for better organization. I would rather we do this after we check if a user is logged in. So let me move this stuff here that is user dependent, like so. So after they check whether the user is logged in, because at this point we only get here if we are logged in, so that's fine. So info drive space. Then we create a function called get drive space. Let's go to the functions page and create it there. So I'm going to say function get drive space. Then here we should know the user ID. Okay, and also drive space. Let's just call it drive occupied, and then this one drive total. So this one will represent what the user is allowed. So this is 15, or let's call it maybe 1 GB or something, or let's say 10 GB, right? No, let's try 1 GB there. So this one is in GBs. Okay, so it's 1 right there, 1 GB, 1 gigs. So that's the total, and this is the amount occupied. This one will be probably in bytes. So in order to have this same number in bytes, let's see, we'll just leave it at 1 GB for now. This one will be in bytes, this one will be in GBs. Okay, this is fine. So back to where we are getting from the drive. Here we just need to run a query. Okay, so the query is going to be like this. We want to get the total of all bytes from a certain user. So let's get back here to the table. So you see here we have the size, the file size column. These are numbers here. We can add all of these. We can get the sum of this here, where the user ID is very specific. So we're going to say select, we're going to say sum, which column? The sum of file size. Then we need this to have a column name. I'm going to call this column name sum, as sum, like that, from my drive, which is the, I'll explain this a little bit, where user ID is equal to user ID. Okay, So normally you'd say select all from my drive where user ID is equal to that, and then need to bring you the rows that correspond to user ID of a specific type. But now, because the star here represents all columns, but instead I want to get just one column, which is file size. But instead of just getting the column, I want a sum of the numbers in there. Okay, but then once it returns this, the column name will be this, and I don't like a column name to have this because it's got special symbols here like the brackets. So I'll say as sum, so that the column name will be named this instead. So here what I will return instead is this. I'm going to say let's run the query. So we're going to say row is equal to query, and then the query here, and then if row. So if we got something there, let's return something else, but if we didn't, let's just return 0. Let's assume there are no rows for this user. But if we did get something, then we're gonna return the number, and this one is going to be inside row, and the first result of there's going to be a sum column like that. That will be the total number in bytes. Okay, so just to show you that this is working, I can now go back here, and at this point I just want to alert myself to the drive occupied. So I'm gonna do obj.drive_occupied like that. So let's get an alert of that, like so. Okay, so let's refresh the page, see what we get. So this is what we get. That's the total. So it's working, but I want to see this in gigabytes. How much is this in gigabytes? So to see this in gigabytes, we have to divide it by 1 GB. So how many bytes make a GB? So 1024 bytes make a kilobyte. Then we multiply that by 1024 kilobytes, which make a megabyte. And then we multiply that by again 1024 megabytes, which make a gigabyte. So if we divide by that, we'll know how many GBs this is. So it's 1.2. Not right, really, because it should be 0. So let's see here. Divide by that makes kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte. Let's see, kilo. Something wrong here. Okay, what I want to see is just this, to see if it's a billion, because a giga is a billion. So let me see if that answer is a billion. That's 123,000 million, billion. Yeah, so it is 1 billion. That's true. So that's 1 gig. 123, 123, 123, 1. Okay, so that is 1 billion for real. So what's going on? That's 1 billion divided by this. So let's see this number here. It shouldn't reach 1 billion. Then there should be something wrong. So 123, 123, 123. So it reaches 1 billion, which is insane. So let's go back here. There's no, oh yeah, it's true. It's actually 1 gig because there's movies here that are quite large, 800 megabytes. Oh, sorry, my bad. It's all good. It's actually working as intended. I thought the files were much smaller, but that's what it is. So here I'm going to do a round off. I'm going to do math.round. I want to round off to 2 decimal places, so I'm going to put a comma and put a 2 there. Is that how we do it? It says 1. Okay, so rounding just rounds it off. So that's not what I want. What I want is to use the function .toFixed. I think that's what it is. So let me remove this. And alert ends there. So what I'm going to do is this. Let me move this to after the success here. Update drive space. So here I'm going to say drive occupied is equal to, and paste that. Okay, so then I will put this inside brackets, and here this result, is a number. So I'm going to say .toFixed. I think that's how it works, and then put 2 decimal places there. Now this is not how you make variables in JavaScript, so we have to do let like that. I keep getting confused from PHP to JavaScript. Anyway, so I just want an alert of drive occupied, like so. I want it to 2 decimal places, so that's 1.32, which is great. Now, if the maximum is 10 GB, then we know what's going on there. We have to find the percent. So let me do this. Let drive percent is equal to. So now we have the drive occupied divided by drive total. Is that what it's called? Drive total, yes. So that drive total comes from obj. So let's try this. obj, which is the incoming data. If we divide these two like that and then multiply by 100, that will give us a percentage and math.round like so. Yes, I think that will do the job. We'll round it off. So that's the drive percent, drive occupied. So here, so let me see both of those two, the percentage and the occupied. So here the occupied is 1.23 GB. The percent is, I can't see the decimal point here. Is it 12%? I think it's 12%, yes. Okay, so with that in mind, everything seems great. Let's see, drive occupied divided by total, then multiply by 100, that is the percent. Okay, great. So at this point, we update drive space. So in order to update, we have to go back to our visual. Where is that? We want to find where it is. Okay, so that's the uploading thingy. I'm looking for the drive space. Now this part here that disappeared, I can now remove this part here that is commented out like that. And then let's go. Where is the drive space? Okay, there it is. So this is the part I am looking for. So I'm going to do JS drive space text. Okay. Let me grab that. So that's the text, and this is the one that should have the percentage. So I'm going to do this. Percent. Okay, so these are the two items that I need to deal with. So I'm going to go down here again. Where is this? On the table refresh. Yes, yes. Yes, right here. So let's grab those items. So I'm going to grab document.querySelector dot, that's the text, dot inner HTML is equal to so let's drive the drive occupied, then let's do a plus to concatenate like a string, put a slash like so, put two spaces on this side, plus, actually instead of doing this, let's use these backticks so that we can do this instead, $. So drive occupied, and then we can put a space, a slash, and then drive total, this one here, and $sign on this, shift $, there we go. Okay, so the total, the occupied, so here occupied GB, and then here as well GB, like that. Okay, and what else? So that's the text. Then let's deal with the percent as well. This one will be percent. On this one, we change the style. We're going to say .style .width is equal to drive percent. Let me copy that. Let me remove these two. We don't need them anymore. So here we're going to do drive percent like that. So that's the value. Okay, good. So let's see this in action. Okay, so 1.2 GB out of 1 GB, so it's over 100%, so that's not good. So let's go to the API here and put 10 GB as the limit. So that's the problem. So refresh, and there we go. So you see now it's properly done. 1 GB out of that. So let me add one file so that we see how this actually changes. So I'm going to click there and add one more file that's quite large, so we see the numbers change. So I'm going to go to here where there are some large image file, not image files, but movie files. Maybe this one. Let me add it. So you see once it finishes there, you see that update. So I'm going to click OK, and you see it update 1.54 GB drive space. So we should now put a limit. Eventually we'll put a limit so that if we reach 10 GB, you can't upload anymore. All right, so far so good. Let me go back here. All right, and also we need to be creating folders. So that's the next thing to tackle.